Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. We are pleased to feature a presentation from one of our sponsored athletes. And so, for those of you who are unfamiliar, every year Senior Planet selects 5 older adults age 60 and above from across the United States to become wellness ambassadors in the sponsored athlete program. These individuals are committed to healthy living, and they're here to share their personal stories and tips that they have for reaching their wellness goals. So we're excited to have Stephen Berkowitz with us today at 72. Stephen has spent over 4 decades making daily exercise a habit, showing that it's never too late to commit to fitness. So in today's session, Stephen is going to share some power training routines that can boost your strength, coordination, and more. And with that, I will pass the floor to Stephen.
Thank you, Nicole. Can you put me in? Yes, thank you very much and welcome everybody. I want to thank Senior Planet and AARP for giving me the opportunity to share my fitness journey with you. My fitness journey began on January 1st, 1983. That happened to be my birthday. I had a desk job, a 2-year-old daughter, and I was what you would charitably call husky. Some of you might remember when you were growing up younger, they had jeans actually called husky. Well, that was me. I made a resolution to get fit. So I grabbed some old sneakers, some jeans, a sweats, and I jogged very slowly around a half a loop in my neighborhood. It was January 1st in Virginia. It was cold, but it felt really good. So I did that loop again the next day and the next day and the next day. For about 3 weeks, I jogged very slowly that half-a-mile loop. Then I decided I wanted to run a mile, so I went around twice. Every 2 weeks, I increased a half a mile. Before I knew it, I was running 6 miles a day, and it was feeling pretty good. So I decided, well, I want to start running in races. So I started running in 5K races, 5-mile races, 10K races, 10-mile races. And I was really feeling good. I was running every day 6 miles, and I decided I want to run a marathon. So I started training for an upcoming Marine Corps, which is a Washington, D.C. marathon. Well, I did that marathon, and then I said, I want to do this again. So I ran another marathon, and then another marathon. And I was really jogging away every day, six miles a day. And I started increasing my speed, and it was feeling pretty good. During this time period, I also recognized I need strength. So I started going to the gym and lifting weights. I started very light weights. Eventually they got heavier. I noticed in my mid-50s that my body was starting to talk to me. My calves were telling me, you might be overdoing it. My knees were telling me I might be overdoing it. My shoulders were telling me I might be overdoing it. Sometimes I listened and sometimes I didn't. Eventually, I hurt my calf and I had to stop running for a while. I hurt my rotator cuffs and I had to stop lifting weights for a while. I rested and then I went back to it. And that was a mistake because eventually I had to give up running, give up lifting weights. I still do aerobics and I do a bike or a cross trainer today just about every day. But after giving up weightlifting for a while, I realized that as we get older, because we're losing muscle mass at about 1 to 2% per year after age 50, we're actually losing power, which is the ability to move muscle quickly, 3 to 4% a year. And I read all these studies about how important it was to maintain muscle mass. So I started lifting weights again, very light weights. And eventually I settled on how much weight, how many reps that I would do. Throughout this routine, over these years, I learned to stretch. I have a stretching routine that I do 3 times a week. Nutrition, boy, I used to eat lots of pizza, then I stopped eating pizza. I would eat junk food, then I would stop eating junk food. When you're running 6 miles a day and running marathons, it's easy to justify eating a lot of pizza, a lot of potatoes and whatnot. But as you get older, that can build up, and that's a mistake. So now I'm a very picky eater today. But during this, out of all this time, I learned 4 really important lessons that I just want to share with you. I think it's always important to go slow to enable you to go fast. I'm convinced that if I didn't start running slow, I never would have made it to running a marathon. I would have hurt myself. The same thing applies with weights. Go light to go heavy. If I tried to do heavy weights, I'm sure I would have hurt myself. A key for me was to only compete with myself, to never compete with other people. There's always going to be people that can run faster than you, that can lift more weight than you. And if you try to compete with them, I believe that's a recipe for disaster. So I compete with myself. And I would suggest that you might want to consider that too. If you can do more 3 weeks from today than you can today, then you're a winner. And that's what's important. The fourth lesson learned is listen to your body. We have very advanced neurological systems, and when your body is in pain, it's trying to send you a message. Pain is different from soreness. Being sore is okay. That's your muscles thanking you for working them out. But if you're in pain, that's really a mistake. So what we're going to do today is what I call my power routine. So you might ask, well, what is power training? Power training is nothing more than resistance training with speed. It helps train the muscles to generate force quickly. So I lift weights, I do my resistance training on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I alternate between power training sessions and traditional strength training sessions. So I'm going to use a 5-pound weight. I suggest that you pick a weight that is light in your mind. If that's 2 pounds, that's great. I'm going to use 5 pounds. That's great. If for you, 8 pounds, 10 pounds, 12 pounds is light, then do that. Again, we're not competing with ourselves. We're not competing with one another. We're competing with ourselves. And also, I use ankle weights. I use 2.5-pound ankle weights because we're going to do a lot of leg exercises. However, on Monday, when I did my resistance training, afterwards, my wife and I spent 3 hours hiking up and down some hills at a local park, and my ankles started screaming at me. So my mantra is listen to your body. So I'm not going to be wearing these today, but if you have ankle weights and you want to follow along, definitely wear them because they're very beneficial for the leg work that we're going to do. So first we're going to warm up just a little bit. We don't need to warm up a lot. So the first thing we're going to do is just warm up the lower level. So hinge at your hips, stick your butt out and put your hands right above your knees and just gently go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Reach up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Twist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Punch out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that should be enough. What we're going to do today is 2 sets of 22 exercises. We're going to do 6 reps each, and I broke this up into 5 circuits. So after each circuit, we'll take a very brief water break and just talk. So we'll start the first circuit, and we're going to do squats. Again, I'm using 5-pound weights. Now, many people have different ways of holding the weights. I like to hold the weights up by my shoulder because it helps keep my back straight. And you don't want to be torquing your back. So use a bench or use a chair. And the power move is go down slowly just until you're touching and then up fast. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can tell what part of the body you're working by doing this. Next, we're going to do shoulder rolls. And the power move is to shrug quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next, we're going to do push-ups. And I recognize that some people might not like to get on the floor. So go to a wall and just put yourself at an angle. You're going to go down. You're going to go down slow and then up fast. So I'm gonna get on the mat, and you can get on the mat or the floor, or a wall. So again, down slow, up fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're gonna go to a wall or hold a chair for balance, and we're gonna do a knee lift very fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to a bench or a chair. We're going to do lat pull down. We're going to do triceps. Down slow, up fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To the weights. Stand up tall, lift your shoulders back. We're going to do flies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to do the second set. Weights up by the shoulder. Down slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shoulder rolls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the floor or on the wall. Push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To the wall, leg lifts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Biceps. Down slow, up fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Standing flies. Stand up tall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's one circuit. It's time for a water break. Water is really important. Your muscles are made up predominantly of water. You'll notice that I was alternating between doing lower body work and upper body work. And I do that for time efficiency purposes. Rather than taking a break after each one, I do the whole circuit and then take a break. You'll also notice that when we're doing the legs, having weights is really good for this. When you're up like this, you're also balancing on your other leg. So you're actually getting a twofer. And that's very important because you want to be able to maintain your balance, and having fast leg movements will allow you to stop a fall if you trip or if you lose your balance. And one more sip of water, and then we'll go to the next circuit. Take your weights, put the head of the weight right on your thigh and the shoulders back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next, we're going to hinge at the hip. And I should have mentioned this before, if you have back issues, be very careful doing all these exercises. If you feel any pain at all, stop. But hinge at the hips, stick your butt out, and lower the weights just until you feel a stretch. No lower than your knees, and then up fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now put the weights in front of you, shoulders back, head up, stand tall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to the wall. Now we're going to do front kicks and back kicks. Hold the wall for balance. Plant your left leg in this case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Left leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Doing this fast will help train the muscles to react quickly, and that's the goal of doing power training. Now we're going to go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to the weights. Stand up tall, head up, shoulders back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hinge at the hips. Stick your butt out. Let the weights go down just to your knees and then up fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Stand tall, weights in front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to the wall, kicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Time for a break. Again, the speed is what's really important because that's what's training the muscles to be able to react quickly. If you do this over several weeks, you will definitely notice a difference in your gait, in your mobility, and your speed. Next, go to a chair or a bench, hinge at the hips. We're going to do rows, one arm at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sit on a chair or on a bench. We're going to do leg extensions. And again, if you have weights, these are very beneficial for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to the bench or to a chair. And bicep curls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to the wall. Now we're going to be kicking our legs out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to the chair or the bench. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Leg extensions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To the chair or the bench. Curls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to the wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Time for water. So you can see these go by pretty fast, and get your heart pumping a little bit too, and that's also good for you. This next set of exercises, we're going to do a plank. We're going to do hip thrusts from a bridge on the floor. And as I said earlier, I know some people don't like to get on the floor. So in order to do the plank on the wall, just go to the wall, put your elbows on the wall, and hold it. Your goal should be to work up to 60 seconds. I'm going to count to 30 in my head. In order to do the hip thrust from the wall, rather than thrusting both legs, kick out one leg and hold it for a count of 6. So I'm going to get on the mat to do the planks. You can use a mat or the wall. Again, I'm going to count in my head to 30. Try to keep your body in a straight line. You ready? Roll over. Gently put your back on the mat and your head on the mat, feet flat, hands flat. Thrust your hips up, then come down slowly, and then up fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to the wall. We're going to kick calf raises. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Reverse leg extensions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to the wall of the mat for planks. Gently put your back and your head on the mat. Feet flat, hands flat. Raise up into a bridge. Down slowly, up fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To the wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the fourth circuit. And at the speed we're going, I think we're going to do another whole set. With the weights, stand tall, shoulder press. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take a tennis ball and squeeze fast. Great for hand grip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This last exercise is my favorite exercise because I love to eat. It's called the farmer's carry. It simulates carrying grocery bags. What I do is I walk 100 steps, and in order for me to walk 100 steps, I'd have to go off camera. So, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to do 2 little loops. I'll put my back to you so you can be aging with attitude. But you just walk. And for me, 100 steps is about the distance between where my car is and my front door. So it's perfect for me. And I do 100 steps carrying weights. Shoulder press. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tennis ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Farmer's carry, grocery bag carry. Do 100 of the 100 steps. So those are the 22 exercises that I do. Now, I do the same 22 exercises when I'm doing my traditional strength training. And when I do my strength training, I use heavier weights than I do for power training, and I do more reps than I do. My routine, for power training, I'm usually using 12-pound weights, and I do 9 to 12 repetitions, and I do 3 sets. For strength training, I use 15-pound weights, and I do 15 repetitions for 3 sets. We have plenty of time before I start another routine. Nicole or Dave, are there questions that we might want to cover now?
There hasn't been any questions yet, Steve.
Okay. So let me talk a little bit about the benefits of power training. It promotes better reaction time to help you regain stability. Clearly, all the leg work that we did will help your legs react quickly if you're starting to fall. All of the routines that we did mimic real world movements, like standing up from a chair, walking upstairs, pushing a door, pulling a door, lifting a box, lifting clothes baskets, grandchildren, carrying groceries. The squats are excellent because, as I'm sure all of you know, when you lift something from the floor, you really should be using the power in your legs to lift. Clearly, your back and your arms get involved in it, but it's the legs that really should be doing all of the lifting. Reaching high on a shelf, that's also an important benefit. And having the muscles flexible and loose to be able to do that is very beneficial. So since we have time, let's do another set. Let's start with our squats. Hold the weights up here. Again, I do this because it helps my back stay straight. And you want to go down, just touch, and up fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The shoulder rolls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Push-ups, either on the wall or on the mat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Leg lifts, very fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Triceps. Down slow, up fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Standing flies, stand up straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go back to squats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to the mat for push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back to the wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Standing flies, stand up straight, shoulders back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Water break. Any questions yet?
Yeah, Donna asked, how did you create your training routine?
That's an excellent question. So I love to read and do research, and I rely on clinical trials and studies, either funded by or done by the NIH, the National Institute on Aging, National Institute of Musculoskeletal Diseases. The National Library of Medicine has something called PubMed, and you can find the results of various studies. So based on my reading of NIA recommendations, I developed this routine that would hit on every single muscle group involved in day-to-day living. So if you think about everything that we've done, we've sort of mimicked everything that we do day to day. As I said, walking upstairs, getting into a car, getting out of a car, getting up from a sitting position, lifting, twisting, holding grandchildren. I mean, holding grandchildren is really important. If any of you have remember when your grandchild or your child was 2 years old, they are as strong as anything, and they do the squirmies. So if you're trying to hold a 2-year-old and walk up a flight of stairs, they're going to push against you and try to fly off of you. And you need the ability to hold them straight and to grab onto something real quick if you start to lose your balance. So everything that I do is based on the things that we have to do to remain independent and vital as we get older. And again, that's a great question, Donna. And it's all based on clinical studies. I try to avoid non-clinical studies because everybody has an agenda. So I look where there's science to back up what I'm doing.
Stephen, McGill from Oregon is asking, could you talk more about alternating the fast and slow movement in a single exercise? Is that better than doing slow movements for a while, then fast movements for a while? You know, that combination that you're doing.
Right. So that's also an excellent question. So when I started lifting weights, I really didn't understand power training. Power training traditionally is done by football players and basketball players that need fast reaction time. It wasn't until I started reading about the benefits power training has for us as we age. So in my own training program, I do resistance training on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I alternate. So today is Wednesday and I'm doing power training using the lighter weights. On Friday, I'll do my traditional strength training using heavier weights. Next Monday, I'll do power training. Next Wednesday, I will do traditional strength training. So I'm alternating every other week. I don't think you can, I think it's important to try to weave both in. I wouldn't try to do everything in one setting because then you might overwork your muscles. And again, listen to your body. If your body is telling you that it's painful, then stop. If you're sore, that's actually good. I mean, that's the lactic acid that's saying you're working your muscles and your muscles are happy that you're working them. But never work through pain. The no pain, no gain mantra might be good when you're really young and you have more time to recover. But in my view, as you get older, no pain, no gain can lead to trouble. Because if you tear a muscle, it really can be debilitating. And
You're right.
That's another reason why I believe in the go light to go heavy mantra. You don't have to lift heavy weights to get benefits. You can progressively challenge your muscles by doing more repetitions, by doing more sets, by tiering. There's a lot of different methods. And one thing I should have said, and I'm glad you asked that question, is that there are many routines out there. So I'm not suggesting that what I do is the best for everybody. It certainly works for me and it's the best for me. But I would urge you to do your own due diligence. Look at what other people are recommending and find something which is better than nothing that you're comfortable with and that you think you can do for the long haul.
Oh, great. Daria asks, do you have any weightlifting training exercises for osteoporosis of the hip and back? I think squats are good like you've demonstrated.
Well, if you have osteoporosis, you need to be very careful. I'm not a doctor, so I certainly can't give advice of a medical nature. I certainly would talk to either your doctor or a professional trainer that has experience training individuals that have osteoporosis. I do understand that you have to be very careful. You don't want to do anything to injure your spine, which is why I emphasize when you're bending over, you have to be very careful. And that reminds me of another thing I wanted to mention to you. You may have noticed that I did one arm rows, one arm shoulder presses, one at a time. I do that because for me, if I try to do bent over rows with both arms, I'm putting too much stress on my back. It's better for me to hold onto a chair or a bench, hinge my butt, and do one at a time. The same thing with shoulder presses. If you're doing two, you have a tendency to move your back to help you lift the weights. And that might not be the right thing for you to do.
I like in my classes, I usually like working one part of the body first and then the other, divide it like you did, and then build up to both of them, but like you did, individually.
Yeah, and for time management, and you can see how fast we went through those 22 exercises. I thought it would take us a little bit longer, but for time management, you might have noticed I'm alternating between doing lower body, upper body, lower body, upper body. So while I'm doing lower body, my upper body is resting. When I'm doing upper body, my lower body is resting. That is as opposed to doing upper body one set, resting for a minute, doing it again. I do it for a time management because all of us have lots of things going on in our lives, so we want to be able to exercise as efficiently as possible. So that works for me. I break it up into those circuits so that I can drink water because muscles are water. So that's being hydrated is very important.
Yes.
Oh, great. Nicole, do you want us to switch to the gallery mode to the Hollywood Squares mode so people can raise their hands?
That's fine.
Okay, great.
I am seeing a question here in the chat from Barb, who's saying she came in late and wants to know, is it good to start with 6 reps and then build up over time?
For me, I believe in the go slow to go fast, go light to go heavy mantra. So I selected 6 as a starting point because I geared this for the adult that's just beginning to do power training. So I didn't want to start at 12 reps. So starting at a lower weight and a lower number of reps gives you the opportunity to build. And you will definitely build. And what I could say is if you do 6 at a light weight and you're very comfortable doing that, then go by all means, increase the number of reps or increase the weight. Everybody is different. Your muscles will adapt as time goes on. So if you were to do what we did today for 2 or 3 weeks, I can't guarantee it, but I'm pretty sure in 3 weeks' time, you'll be ready to do more repetitions or more sets or increase the weight that you're using. And you will build quickly over time. Just like when I was running, I started real slow, short distance, gradually increase until I was running marathons. And the same thing occurred with weights. I started very low. I didn't want to hurt myself. And I was able to start lifting heavier weights until my body started talking to me. And then, listen to their body. That's really important.
There's a question in the chat from Michael Murray. Are there any exercises you'd recommend for people who have a pinched nerve in their lower back, causing pain in their knees or lower leg, like sciatica?
That's a difficult question to answer without, actually being a medical professional, knowing the specific injuries. So I wouldn't want to venture a guess. I really think for something like that, it's real important to talk to a professional and get their advice. I've read that there are routines available and recommended, but I think it's best for a person to talk with their medical team about that.
And for anybody that'd like to ask a question directly, click on the raise hand button. If you don't see it, it's probably under the More button on the bottom of your screen, and Ruth is demonstrating how to do that. And then when we call on you, you can unmute yourself. So go ahead and unmute yourself, Ruth.
Thank you, Steve. That was very interesting and helpful. Do you have any thoughts on if one has arthritic knees, is it okay to do squats?
So what I've read is arthritis in and of itself should not be a barrier. What you want to do is ensure that the load that you're making your knees work is not heavy. So you could use body weights. You don't have to use heavy weights. I would again talk to your medical professional. But from what I've read, if you have arthritis, and I think many people our age have arthritis. I have arthritis in my shoulders, in my neck. So I modulate when I'm doing heavy weights. My left shoulder actually has some arthritis, so I use a much lower weight on my left shoulder when I'm doing my normal routine. But the first thing I would do is to use body weight. Just put your hands in front of you, go down and up. If that is painful, then I think you have to talk to a medical professional. But if that's not painful, make that your routine. As I said, light weights is in the eyes of the beholder. It can be body weight. I mentioned earlier that when I hurt myself from lifting weights, I went a long time only doing body weight. It took several years before I got back into lifting weights again. And that was only because I was reading about how very important it is for us as we age to use our muscles and try to maintain that vitality by doing power exercises.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. That's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Ruth. There was a comment in the chat from Susan M. Says, often a strength training plan alone is not enough. Seniors must add daily cardio, balancing, and stretching to the weekly bouts of strength exercises and keep an eye on sleep, recovery, and a healthy diet.
Yeah, so let me, if I can, let me just talk about that. So cardiovascular health is extremely important. Weight training does have benefits, but doing aerobics, I think, is really essential. As I mentioned, when I stopped running, I didn't stop doing aerobics. I started using a cross trainer or a stationary bike. Today, every day, I do at least 60 minutes on a stationary bike. I have a stretching routine that I do every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday that basically stretches all the muscles that we just worked. And then every day after I do my stationary bike, I stretch my calves, my hamstrings, because as you said, it's critical to do that. And as far as nutrition is concerned, I'm more of a fanatic now. My wife will tell you I'm too picky sometimes, but I went through phases of no fat. It's really sad. I went through a phase of I love sweets. So I went through a phase of no fat and I was eating fat-free Entenmann's. At that time, what I didn't realize was how much sugar was in them and how bad sugar was for you. So I would overeat fat-free Entenmann's thinking that I was being virtuous, but that was a mistake. So when I learned that, I had to give up my fat-free Entenmann's. So I'm constantly looking for foods that I can eat that's low in sodium, low in fat. Because I lift weights, I try to eat more protein than what's generally recommended. And I think all older adults probably need more protein than the recommended daily allowance because we lose our muscle mass so fast. We really need that protein to help rebuild muscle. And I know I've been successful because every 6 months I get what's called a DEXA exam. And it's a full body exam that looks at bone density and muscle mass. And I've actually been able to increase my muscle mass. So I've been successful not only not losing any muscle mass, but I've been able to increase it.
Great. Kaz, do you want to talk about this question, this question from Michael that you put an answer into the chat?
Yeah, that some certain stretches can alleviate those pinches in the lower part of the body, you know. But you can always, like Steven said, it's always good to check with your health provider, your medical doctor, your official doctor. But these like the cobra stretch, the pelvic lifts, which Steven did do in the exercise, he did the pelvic lift, and that does help alleviate a bit. And like the cobra, or the knee to the chest, which looks like a fetus pose, can also help alleviate that that type of issue in your back. But it's always good to check with your doctor and see if that's, because everything doesn't suit everyone the same, you know. It's always just make sure that it's okay, because we're all built differently.
Yeah, many yoga moves are recommended for people with arthritis, but I mean, it's not for me to recommend that. I think it's important to have your medical professional. I can tell you, for me, I do have some arthritis in my neck, and it was bothering me for the longest time until I started doing some basic stretches. So while I'm doing my exercise bike every morning, I alternate between turning my head this way, turning my head that way, left, right, down, down, down. And I swear, I've been doing this now for almost a year and a half. And I swear that I know it hasn't cured my arthritis, because I don't think you can cure arthritis, but I don't have the mild pain anymore that I had about 2 years ago when I started developing arthritis. So stretching those parts is really beneficial for me. Your medical professional will probably tell you what might be best for you.
Yeah, Janet put a question into the chat. Can you explain more about the DEXA exam you do, please?
Yeah, so my son-in-law convinced me to get a DEXA exam to see what percentage of my body was fat versus muscle. So the DEXA exam, it's a full scan of your entire body. It looks at your muscle mass, how much of your body is muscle, how much is fat. It looks at your bones and tests the bone density. Actually doing power moves and strength training is very good for your bones too, because any stress you put on your muscles pulls on your bones, and it causes bone building cells to be activated, which is another benefit for doing weight training for your bones. But I get a DEXA exam every 6 months so that I can gauge my progress.
Exactly. And what you're saying about the next exercises, I'm gonna repeat the words of the Godfather of Fitness. You know, Jack LaLanne always said, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right, right.
Don't use it, you lose it. So we gotta
Yeah,
keep.
well, that applies for all the muscle groups. And that also, I mean, your heart, if you're not exercising your heart by doing aerobics, you're not strengthening your heart.
Yeah, McGill wrote, unfortunately, most medical doctors don't seem to have expertise about specific exercise. And she's right. And I was thinking about that. We can check with the doctor, but what about if the doctor doesn't train? He might even need to lose weight himself, you know? So he might have the theory about health, but he's overweight, you know? So perhaps after the doctor, one should consult a personal trainer and or sports focused therapist. And that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a sports medicine specialty, and they may be hard to find in your area.
Yeah.
Well,
You know,
thank you so much, Stephen. This was really wonderful. Thank you so much for doing this. And we're getting lots of thank yous in the chat.
Thank you
Darius
for
said,
attending.
my insurance always only covers DEXA exams every 2 years. So yeah, it may depend on your
Yeah, so
insurance.
I pay for my DEXA exam because my doctor and my insurance company won't recommend me taking a DEXA exam because for them, it's more the bone density that they're looking at as opposed to the muscle mass. Of course, I'm interested in the bone density, but I'm more interested in how much of my body is fat versus how much is muscle and what tweaks I can do to maintain muscle or grow muscle and decrease fat.
It's wonderful. Kaz, do you want to stop the recording? And thanks again. This
Thank
was
you, everybody, for attending